Okay, back out in the garage on the 818 today. 4-day weekend, get a lot done. I think the last video the engine was in and had hot wired the starter and I was turning it over. So what I've done so far this morning is I finished hooking up the cooling pipes here. Come out there. I went through the silicone adapters and the power grips from Gates. Came all the way down and through back up here. And then I insulated these tubes. Try and keep some heat out of the engine compartment. Done the same thing on the other side. I'm almost done. Bought the wrong size adapter for the radiator outlet. So got an adapter on the way. It'll be here tomorrow. I'll be able to wrap that up. I also ordered a new degas tank to replace the one I broke there. So pretty soon I'll be able to fill this thing up with water and make sure there's no leaks there. And so I've started on the wiring. See, I've zip tied my ECU about where I think I want it to go. And I've started trying to run the connectors out where they go. I've got the two on the transmission already. These wires are, I've got a couple of wires that I don't know where they go. Wires have been cut and tied to help with getting things detangled. O2 sensor comes out over here. And what I'm doing is anywhere I have to cut a wire that I think I don't have to replace exactly like it was, like I'm pretty sure this is a power wire. I'm labeling it on both sides before I cut it. So that's 101. You'll find 102 or 101 on the other side as well, using these little 3M wiring label rolls that I got off of Amazon. So for instance, this is the same color wire. I'm pretty sure this is just another power source as well. I labeled this one 102. In two places I'll cut it right there. That end will go off to the engine compartment. This end will stay here until I figure out how I'm going to source that. But I'll continually have exactly how I had them lined up before in case I need to put them back. That's my current plan. So this wiring is something else. I think I'd have surely been better to either just kept the whole harness or started completely from scratch. Just cut the pigtails off the ECU and use them and ran new wire to every connector I need, which may still happen. I may wind up cutting every one of these wires, just running them where I need them. Heat shrinking the ones that I decide to keep, gutting everything else. I have a feeling that's about where this is going to go, because this is not going to be neat, and it's not going to appeal to my OCD-ness in any fashion like it is. So, getting ready for a good time. Make another video then today, I hope. Still working on the harness. Obviously, it's been a couple of hours. I've managed to pull out everything that's in this harness that goes into the engine bay. What I'm doing now is tidying it all up and getting it cut to length. So I thought I'd make a little video just in case anybody's curious how I'm doing it. The signal wires, which are 3 or 4 wires inside of a single shield, I'm trying not to cut those at all. I'll leave those to length. I'll wrap them if I have to. It's just better not to cut those with the shield on them and get better signals. So, but everything that wasn't in the shielded wire got cut, pulled back through, and then the signal wires got pulled back through until they were all nice and neatly grouped together. And then the wires that got cut were cut to length and put back together. So I'm putting them back together using these self-soldering heat shrink tubes. They're really amazing. It's a little more expensive than traditional solder, but so much faster. So for instance, this black wire here had to get shortened, so it's got one connection in it. Those things right there, you just take the wire, you strip it, you push it in there and make sure that the wires just kind of mesh together, intertwined. You heat it up and the solder melts, and you got a perfect soldered connection. It's heat shrink tubed, so it's waterproof. And then like this green and red wire here actually had to be extended about 4 or 5 inches so that it was the same length as everything else, so that it would go up neatly in a nice little trunk. So I spliced in a piece of matching colored wire that I'd pulled out from something I deleted. I got a whole bucket of wires I deleted over there, and so this is 2/3 of the passenger side of the engine harness. This is the air sensor. This goes in for the fuel injector and spark plugs, and then there's one more right here. Bunch of signal wires. So I'm fixing to get all that pulled back through and route it over here with these so that it's all nice and neat, and then I'll wrap it with the sleeve and put it back through. Probably going to go ahead and put the O2 sensors in the same trunk. So I'll have one trunk, big trunk, that comes over to this side of the engine, and then it'll split off. It'll go to the mass airflow sensor, the 2 on the engine, and then come out and hit the 2 O2 sensors. I'm probably only going to run one O2 sensor, but I'm pretty sure I can get by emissions testing without a second one, but it doesn't hurt to go ahead and run the wire over here just in case I need it. The other thing I'm doing, these things are really wonderful. They are waterproof, but I'm always concerned that I'm going to get a little too hot and maybe get a little whisker sticking through. So I do go back through and just put a tiny piece of electrical tape on them. It adds a little bulk to the harness, but it's a lot of extra protection just in case. So we'll go back through and put a little piece of electrical tape on all those. And then I'll get this one pulled back through, cut the length, and then I'll do the O2 sensors. And then this half of the engine will be done. Then I'll do the transmission. And then that half of the engine, it's not in this harness. It's in the other harness that I showed y'all balled up on the floor a couple of videos ago. So I will have to get it down here and extract the wires I need from it. I'm not going to keep the intermediate connectors. Basically what happens is this goes out and it comes over to some connectors that were in a big plastic box like these, and you can see where I just broke them off of the box. And then the other harness snapped into that and went on, and I don't want to keep this connector. There's only a few wires in it I need. It has a lot of bulk, so we're going to cut those out and solder the wires together at the right length so everything's clean. So I'm going to get back to it. I just thought for anybody who has to rework a wiring harness, show them a little methodology here. Might be beneficial.